and welcome to the SwirlyCast, the only audio show that can be enjoyed by humans and yokai alike, and is the subject of being on a portable system. Well, I mean, like every single Yokai Watch game was on portable systems, but that's the point. I am your host, Koma. Happy you decided to spend a few minutes out of your day to come hang out. Always much appreciated, very much. And with formalities out of the way, what's on the mind today? Simple, my friends, we're talking about Sonic Advance. Now, Sonic Advance is a very, very interesting game. One that has a lot of history, both rooted in Nintendo and Sega. So let's not waste any time and let's get straight into things, because I really wanted to talk about this game. But I did mention that this game has a lot of history rooted in Nintendo and Sega. The whole reason for that? This was the very first time that Sonic appeared on a Nintendo system. Yeah, like, this is the first game. People think it's Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, but no, it's Sonic Advance. It released first. And honestly speaking, Sonic going multiplat after 2001, I think harboring that in with Sonic Advance was a good idea, because you're starting with two great games, that being Advance 1 and Adventure 2 Battle, to usher in this new age of Sonic, which is a good thing. But that's enough about the history and the background of this game. Let's talk about the game proper now. So Sonic Advance was a 2D platformer developed by the Game Boy Advance. Who could have seen that coming, right? Released in 2001, developed by Dips, who actually made Sonic Pocket Adventure on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, and would later go on to create the rest of the Advance series, the Rush games, and every mainline Sonic on 3DS, save for the Sonic Boom games. They were a pretty prolific studio back in the day, and now they just work on Dragon Ball stuff. Which, you know, given Dragon Ball's recent rise to popularity, I feel like it actually worked out pretty well, but that's the point. Sonic Advance was really what got them their head start, though. Why is that, you may ask? Let's get into it. So let's start with the story, which is, Eggman's kidnapping animals and turning them into robots. Go stop them. All that build-up and we just... that was the story? Yes. Basically, it's a return to form. Basically, Sonic Advance is a return to form for 2D classic Sonic in every single way. We've already had the craziness of the adventure games, like, right before this, so I feel like after we're done... So I feel like it works out masterfully to have something relatively simple on portable hardware. We're not going to be having the grandiose stories of something like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. This is like a traditional classic Sonic story, and I feel like it works. And what does make this game work is its gameplay, and yeah, there's a lot to go over here. So much like the classic Sonic games of ye old 90s, you have the choices between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, the roster from Sonic 3. And introducing this time around is Amy Rose, making her playable debut in this game. Granted, she was in Sonic Adventure, but this is her playable 2D debut. And honestly speaking, I actually really like playing as Amy in this game. Unironically. Like, this is coming from someone who couldn't stand playing as Amy as a kid. But, you know, as times change and you become wiser, you learn about certain things. And you learn that Amy actually has the most unique gameplay of any 2D Sonic character. Even to this day. Like, even with games like Sonic Mania out with Mighty and Ray, Amy still stands out as the most unique. And I'm gonna get into why. So, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles play exactly how they did in Sonic 3. Sonic has the Insta-Shield, it can do a spin dash, Tails can fly, Knuckles can glide to climb walls. That's pretty standard stuff. Though Amy controls like she did in Sonic Adventure, meaning that she cannot spin dash, she cannot spin jump, but she has her own little tricks that she can do to make up for it. She can flip her hammer in the air by pressing the attack button, because there is an attack button in this game, and that's how she does damage to airborne enemies. You might think it's cumbersome, and you know, I would agree with you to some extent, but what makes Amy unique is that her hammer flip has more than just that one utility of taking out enemies. Basically, Amy's hammer is her ticket to doing a whole lot of stuff. If you swing your hammer towards a spring, you will not only get hit by the spring, you will also get rocketed insanely high. And with that kind of knowledge in hand, you could do some insane stuff with Amy. And you can get to heights that you wouldn't normally think would be possible. Seriously, I played Ice Mountain Act 2, which is one of the stages in this game. I beat its main act in 30 seconds with Amy. It takes me a minute and a half to do it with Sonic. That's insane. And that was like, I got hit a few times too. That wasn't even a speed run. If I was speed running that level, I feel like I could have done it in like 20 to 25 seconds. Seriously, if you never gave her a chance, like, do so. She brings a lot to the table, and while she may seem cumbersome at first, which I wouldn't blame you for thinking that, once you really learn how she works in that hammer flip mechanic right then and there, oh, it makes her gameplay so fun. In fact, dare I even say that she's my second favorite character to play as in this game? Right behind Sonic? Yes, I said it! Sue me! I'm gonna die on this hill. Amy is actually insanely fun in this game, and I will never think otherwise. Like, seriously guys, Amy's gameplay is that good. If you're so tired of, the traditional classic Sonic formula, she shakes it up in a way that makes it insanely fun, also harder, and also easier at the same time. It makes her platforming insanely involved, which is something I can't say about any other 2D Sonic character, ever. Honestly speaking, like, as much as I love the Amy Mania mod by Cody Yama for Sonic Mania, this is my favorite 2D interpretation of Amy. Like, seriously, I mean that. Amy Mania is good, but Amy in Advance, she brings so much to the table that, like, I can't think of Amy in any other gameplay style, honestly. Like, granted, if you want things to be a bit more uniform, of course Amy's gonna have a spin jump. That's just kind of natural, but, like, if you want things to be different, do it like Sonic Advance. And with that said, let's start covering the presentation of the game. So, what can I say about this game's music? It's a Sonic game. Of course the music is gonna be good. What do you think I am? Some standout tracks in my opinion are Secret Base Act 2, Ice Mountain Act 1, and Cosmic Angel Zone. There are some really good music tracks in this game. And also along with the great music is a great art style that still holds up. Like, the sprite work on everybody is super detailed, and like, for the time, it's just one of the best looking games for the Game Boy Advance. Granted, of course, we do have the Feature Advance games which do look better than this, I will say that much, but like, even still, Sonic Advance looks and sounds good, even for the time, and I think it still holds up masterfully today. This game is great on the eyes and great on the ears. And the zone selection itself is pretty good for the most part. I think my favorite zone in the game is probably going to have to go to Secret Base and Angel Island, a tie between those two. Secret Base because I really do dig the music and I like the whole like mechanical vibe that that's going on. And Angel Island because it introduces so many interesting platforming gimmicks like the wheels and all that stuff. I did not expect a late game zone in a Sonic game to actually be one of my favorites, but I really did enjoy Angel Island. I don't know what else to say. Though saying that Advance is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. As much as I love this game, even I have to admit that it has its problems. One of the biggest is its endgame, the final zone. Or I guess the final two zones? Whatever. Egg Rocket and Cosmic Angel are not good. Egg Rocket has the issue of being on a time limit with absolutely cheap level design. And yeah, that level is not good. And Cosmic Angel is even worse. The one thing that's kind of better than Egg Rocket is that you're not on a time limit, but at the same time, you're dealing with a gravity gimmick that's never been introduced in any other level, and yeah, it's the final level of the game. Of course, it's going to be difficult. And yeah, pretty much Sonic Advance's endgame is pretty weak, all things considered. Egg Rocket, for the most part, is fine, but Cosmic Angel is not a good zone. It's straight up one of my least favorites in any 2D Sonic game, I'll be honest. And yeah, it's definitely a thing. Boss is actually alright, though. It's just, yeah. And speaking of the bosses, yeah, they're a bit of a mixed bag. Some standouts, in my opinion, are Casino Paradise, where you have to wait for Eggman to pop out of the different barrels. This is much harder with Amy, but it's way more satisfying, in my opinion. Angel Island, where they actually bring back the idea of a metal character, and this time it's going to be Mecha Knuckles, kind of being a tribute to Sonic 3 in that regard. Really cool throwback, and it's a pretty fun fight too. And Cosmic Angel, I actually really like the boss there, because you're on different spheres, and you have to use gravity in order to flip Eggman around in order to do damage to him. It's hard, but it's insanely satisfying when you finally get it. It's a good fight, although it is pretty hard. And, in terms of my other criticisms, the special stages are bad. Well, okay, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, the special stages do actually have their problems, and they're far from perfect. I feel like the special stages in this game were too ahead of their time, I will say. Like, it's kind of 3D looking, which is insanely cool, but like, depth perception is non-existent in these things, and I absolutely despise these special stages. Objectively, these special stages are fine, they get the job done, but like, me personally, no, I do not like them. I do not like them at all. It's why whenever I come back to play Sonic Advance, it's never to go for the Chaos Emeralds. I just play through the game normally, and when you're playing through the game normally, I think it still holds up masterfully. It's pretty good, but it's still very much an imperfect game. It does have a few level design quirks, and the end game is pretty weak. But all in all, this game is well remembered by the Sonic community as a whole for a very, very good reason. Because people either remember it from their childhood, or it's just straight up a good game. Like, what more do you really need me to say on that front? I love Sonic Advance. Like, it's my second favorite of the trilogy, right behind Advance 3. And while I do think Advance 3 has nostalgia going for it, which is probably why I think it's my favorite, in terms of the overall objective best, I'd say that goes to Advance 1. Its level design is pretty solid for the most part. Its characters are very diverse and has my favorite interpretation of any ever. And, you know, it's a great love letter to classic Sonic. It has the traditional zone structure, it has Chaos Emeralds, it has special stages, it has a supersonic battle at the very end. It's a classic Sonic game! If you have dodged this game for whatever reason, I highly recommend giving it a look. It's insanely worth it, and it's super good. I really hope that this game can be released on things like Nintendo Switch Online, or it gets a trilogy release, because I would really love to see this game come back in some shape or form, because, yeah, Sonic Advance is well worth a play. And with that, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about this game. It holds up, and it's super, super good. So with that, this has been Komasan, my friends, fellow viewers, camaraderie select. Thank you for enjoying this episode of the SwirlyCast. Until next time, bye-bye! I will never apologize for liking Amy. That's your ending bit. Real quick before we go, I want to extend my thanks to everybody who helps support the channel financially by buying a sub on Twitch or being gifted a sub. In order of appearance, I want to thank Zero Dramas, Sabian Black, and Noble Bull. And if you too would like a shout out at the end of all these videos, or would like your own SwirlyCast made, then head on over to my Twitch page and buy a sub of any tier. But of course, only if you are willing and able. Thanks for watching!